Two more things about Wagner's operas that we'll mention. One of them has to do with Tristan and Isolde, that love story opera. Uh, what's interesting about the way it begins, when this opera starts, there are no voices. There's a prelude of just instrumental music, which does have themes that go throughout the whole opera. But one thing about that is that there is a chord right in the middle of the first few measures of this piece called the Tristan chord that is unique in music. It's very hard to figure out how Wagner did it and what it means. Many scholars have taken all kinds of time to write about it. In fact, there's an entire book called The Tristan Chord. And many other people have worked on that on YouTube and other places as well. So the Tristan chord itself is especially unique. And then, of course, when you come to his very last opera, Parsifal, that opera was evolving, of course, from the earlier ones. And as I said, that one came all the way back from Lohengrin that referred to that person, Parsifal, and it was in his mind all those years until he finally wrote Parsifal. Now, at the time he wrote it, he was influenced by the German philosopher Schopenhauer, and also he was influenced by Buddhism. Wagner was fascinated by the morals and the lifestyle of Buddhism. So a great deal of what is in Parsifal, not only the storyline but the characters themselves, are a auditory and visual experience of a great deal of what Buddhism is. But the interesting thing is he includes Christianity in the same opera. So there you have another unique feature of Wagner, combining two world religions as a unit in one of the greatest operas he has ever written. Also, within this opera, Wagner wrote music that was extremely ahead of his time as far as harmony and rhythm goes. In fact, the second act of the three acts in Parsifal are considered the kind of music that was only written many, many years after Wagner lived because it was so unique harmonically and rhythmically. So Wagner's evolution, as I say, continued and continued and continued. In fact, when he wrote this opera, he was having so many heart problems at the time, he could only write for an hour or two, then he'd have to rest for the rest of the day. But his craft of not giving up what he was writing was so intense that he did not stop until he finished this entire opera. He had planned also to write more, but he didn't because he died shortly after that. I have many of these operas on DVDs. This is my favorite one of Parsifal. This is about one of the great Wagner singers, Max Lorenz, and about his life and how it was part of the era in which Hitler lived and how he was misunderstood because of that. But he was one of the great opera singers. And also, there is another one I have called The Golden Ring by the opera conductor Georg Scholti that shows how the first 33 and a third records of any of these operas was ever made. That is a wonderful DVD set as well. It takes you through the whole process of how that was done and how the moments that it was done were recorded and they only had so much time to do it in the theater and how it was finished. These are some of the great things about Richard Wagner and his works. Any of you who are interested, please find some of his works or go to YouTube and also listen to some of them. You will find a very unique composer. There has never been one like before him in history, and there will never be one like him anytime after in history.